Turning our attention to politics, Rick Newman covers that for us at Yahoo Finance, and there's news about Joe Biden and obviously President Trump and 2020. And I guess Clorox chewables will not be something the Trump campaign will be giving out on the campaign trail, will it?
Boy, I hope not. But the incremental news today is that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has endorsed Joe Biden. There's no surprise there. The whole party is coalescing behind Biden, which is good news for Biden. I think the problem for Biden is he's just not getting any visibility. He's locked in his basement. He's doing interviews. He now has a podcast, but not too many people are hearing from him. And the challenge for him, I mean, we'll see what happens with states reopening and when we can get back to typical type of politicking here. But the challenge for Joe Biden is just getting the kind of attention President Trump is getting, whether he's giving the coronavirus daily briefings or not. It sounds like those are coming back this week. So we're going to keep seeing Trump. We just don't know if we're going to see much of Biden.
Well, you bring up an important issue. Does Joe Biden really need to be front and center right now or perhaps later this summer? Because President Trump, he canceled his appearance at the coronavirus briefing today. But his own, advisors are saying he keeps stepping in it when he opens his mouth.
Well, you know the old political adage, Adam, if your opponent is self-destructing, be quiet and step out of the way. So Trump's briefings have not been going well. They've got people in the Republican Party worried just because they're continually controversial. And, he's always we know what Trump does. He's always trying to solidify his base and play to his base. But that's only, let's say 30% of the electorate. And we've got a lot of people very, very worried. A lot of Americans extremely worried about this pandemic and about the economy. And Trump is not doing a lot to reassure them, and he just looks kind of shaky. So there's this idea that if he just pulls back from the briefings, that maybe his press will get a little better. But look, this is just Trump being Trump. He's a combative dude, and I think he's just going to continue to be that way.
Rick, as far as Biden goes, being in his basement, being out of the spotlight, I mean, what more could he do to ensure that his visibility is up there? Because like you said, right now, it's just the Trump show. And Biden obviously is a presumptive candidate, should have his face out there more than he does.
One obvious thing is, announce who his vice presidential pick is likely to be. This would be early in the process relative to what we've seen before. But and I'm sure the campaign is thinking about timing. What's the optimal time to say who his vice presidential pick might be? There's also this idea that he might begin to name prospective members of his cabinet, which is unusual. Usually that's not something a candidate does before he's actually won. But Biden could do that. He could sort of pull together a team. And, that would get people's interest. There's always this parlor game. Who's going to be the attorney general and get a secretary of state and the other high profile jobs? Biden could start telling us some of those things, which might get people at least a little interested in what's going on in the Biden camp.
Rick, are either the Republicans or the Democrats giving us any idea about what the conventions, if there are conventions, will even look like?
No. And this is probably a bigger deal for Trump than it is for Biden. If President Trump cannot arrive at the Republican convention in August, which is supposed to be in North Carolina, if lockdown orders prevent that, that's just going to look like an overt failure, that Trump has failed to get the economy back to a point where his own party can hold a convention and nominate him. The Democrats, of course, moved their convention. It was supposed to be in July in Milwaukee, and they postponed it by about a month. So it's supposed to be right before the Republican convention. My guess is these conventions will happen because I think Trump just must have a convention. But who knows what kind of rules? I mean, they could limit attendance. There will probably, if they happen, there will probably be strict distancing rules. But Trump, he knows he needs to be on TV at an arena where the convention is supposed to be held. And I think he's just got to go for
it. Rick, isn't that kind of what his daily briefings have become, though? Kind of like his own showcase of his combative, as you said, attitude. And that kind of is what his base yearns for. And him being able to do that there, I guess, is what he's showing off, right?
Yeah, I mean, the criticism is that all Trump is doing is holding campaign rallies, but he's doing it at the White House under the guise of these coronavirus updates. And the problem there is the campaign rallies are attended by people who choose to go there. I mean, they're Trump supporters and Trump fans. And I think with the daily briefings, I think a lot of people who are not the type of person who would go to a Trump campaign rally, a MAGA rally, are trying to get information and trying to figure out where does the nation stand on this virus in this recession we have, and when are we going to start reopening? And it's not the audience that would normally go to a MAGA rally, so that's the source of the tension.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.